Welcome to another episode of The Artsy Raven, a show about writing and publishing with your host, J.F. Gerard.
Welcome to The Artsy Raven. Today our special guest is Michael Mirolla. Michael's publications include the novella The Last News Vendor, winner of the 2020 Hamilton Literary Award for Fiction, and three Bressani Prizes, the novel Berlin, the poetry collection The House on 14th Street, Welcome to another episode of The Artsy Raven. Today our special guest is Michael Mirolla. Michael's publications includes the novella The Last News Vendor, winner of the 2020 Hamilton Literary Award for Fiction, and three Bressani Prizes, the novel Berlin, the poetry collection The House on 14th Avenue, and the short story collection Lessons in Relationship Dyads. His latest poetry collection, At the End of the World, was shortlisted for the 2022 Hamilton Literary Award. Michael has participated in multiple writers' residencies, including Vancouver's historical Joy Kogawa House in 2019, Olot, Catalonia in 2023, and Barcelona in 2024, completing drafts of his novels The Second Law of Thermodynamics and How About This? Born in Italy and raised in Montreal, he now lives outside Gananoque, Ontario, and helps run the Canadian independent literary publishing house Guernica Editions.
Thank you for having me on.
Now can you tell me a little bit about how you became a writer?
Okay. Well, I've been writing since I bet you most writers tell you this anyway. I've been writing since high school, and I got my first thing in high school. In fact, I was in my last year in high school, and we had this brother Batterton, who was teaching. It was the English literature teacher, and he was an interesting character. He allowed me when we had these exams, these English lit exams, where give us examine John Keats's Ode on a Grecian Urn or something, and he would allow me to write a piece of fiction. He would allow me to write a short story of my own creation, something like that. So that got me really going, and then I was in my last year at McGill, the university in Montreal, and I was about to sign up as a year of Bachelor of Education to become a teacher. And then I saw this notice on the wall of the university campus, and it said a Masters of Fine Arts program at the University of British Columbia. If you're interested, send us some sample of your work. I said, well, my chances of getting accepted there would be 1,000,000 to 1 or something, right? So, but I sent him a play. I sent him a little play that I had written about my family, basically. And I got back a note. Welcome, come on in. We start next year. You'll have a TA. You'll be a teacher's TA as an assistant, and we'll pay you $200 a month for this. I said, wow. So I spent 2 years at the University of British Columbia at the MFA in creative writing program, and that's where I really I had the feeling that okay, I might become a real writer, and because the people there were incredible writers themselves. So and great teachers. So that's what got me started as a writer. And I already had a couple of poems published, a chapbook published at that point.
Mhm.
But that got me started as a writer. That began my real career as a writer. So
And then how did you get involved with Guernica?
that's another story. Yeah, I was a member. I am still a member of the Association of Italian Canadian Writers, and the owner of Guernica, Antonio D'Alfonso, was also a member of the association. So one evening in 2009. We were having dinner at another member's house, and Antonio mentioned that he had started Guernica in 1978. But he said, oh, I'm getting a little tired of this. I'm not having much success, and so I'm thinking to sell. I'm looking to sell. At the time, neither I nor the person who became my partner in Guernica, we said, okay, no, right now we'll think about it. But about 6 months later, we made an offer, and the offer was accepted, and that's how we got into publishing, which was 2010. So we've been at it now for 15 years, and yeah, it's a literary press, and we published. I think until this point, we published in all about 750 titles over the past. Yeah, it's we publish between 35 and 40 titles a year. Poetry, fiction, nonfiction. We have an imprint called Miroland, which is a combination of Mirolla and McParland, my partner. That we publish more commercial material like memoirs. We've published a graphic novel. We've published a travel cookbook, an Italian travel cookbook. So and mystery, we've done mysteries, we've done speculative fiction for that imprint. And we started a new imprint 2 years ago called 1366 Books. 1366 was the year that the village of Guernica, which the famous painting by Picasso on the attack on the bombing of the village. That's where the name came from. Was started. That's when the village was started. So that imprint publishes experimental fiction, and so that's how we got started in publishing. And so far, it's we as independent publishers in Canada, we're fortunate because we do have some good granting of funding from the arts funders in Canada, so that helps quite a bit. But we give back. We give back by publishing material that we feel is for the cultural health of the country, let's put it that way, but which do not sell, they're not going to become bestsellers, right? I mean, poetry is famous for not being best-selling the material, but we published that in it because of the grants that we received that we're able to help out and hopefully, add to the culture in the Canadian in Canada. So
You sound very, very busy. So where do you find the time to write?
I always tell everybody between midnight and 3 a.m. But no, I've one of the secrets, and I always, I did a presentation on this at one point. One of the secrets to it is to be very disciplined, and if you want to seriously be a writer, discipline is one of the things you really need, and to have some sort of routine that you follow. And that way, yeah, I mean, I do my writing, I do the work for Guernica, I do some editing for Guernica, and I put it seems to work. I still get my 8 hours sleep. So but yeah, I think discipline and routine are what enables me to do all this. Yeah.
Okay, tell me a little bit about your novel, How About This? And
Okay,
tell
go
me a
ahead.
little bit about the story without giving too much away.
Okay, well, aside from if I'm going to read from it a little bit
Mhm.
anyway, but the story itself. Okay, so it's set in the middle part of this century, 21st century, in a suburban area of a crumbling city, a crumbling world, and it starts with a person, Elspeth is her name, living. She's in the bungalow, and she's by herself because her partner is away for the night. And she hears it's in the middle of the summer. It's muggy, and she hears some howling, crying in the backyard of their bungalow. And she's had experiences with this before. She thinks it's the cats. It's those cats out there either fighting or having some fun. And she goes out there with a bucket of water. She's going to toss the bucket onto the cats, but it turns out that it's not cats. It's an actual. It's a. She finds a stroller, a baby carriage on the back deck, and she's startled, but she pulls in. She pulls the carriage into the house. There's a set of twins in the carriage, and when her partner comes back, and they check they check the carriage, and they find this envelope which they dump onto the table, and it has the birth certificates for these babies. It has all the vaccinations. It says, and then there's an iPhone, a phone, cell phone that they press the button and it talks, it speaks, and it says, basically, it says, do not report do not report this finding because you will be accused of kidnapping. But all the papers are there for them to take these babies as their own, as if they were their own adopted babies. Not they're a lesbian couple that they've been married for 10 years or so. But they tried to adopt, they weren't able to. So they take in these twins, and they create a family with the twins,
Okay.
and they grow up, and the usual family things, aside from the fact that the twins have some special characteristics that might be the reason why they were abandoned in the first place. I never give out what that
Yeah,
is until
don't give
someone
out
gives.
too much. Now,
So
what
that's
is
the start of the
yeah,
story.
okay. So what inspired the story? Like, is it because you were trying to adopt at one point, or
No, no, no,
oh,
no.
okay.
I'm no, no. We've had I've been lucky. I have two children and four grandchildren. So
Hmm.
no, no. I don't know. I mean, there are some things to do with gender identity, but basically what I like about I like the I want to see what the art of storytelling gets me to, as opposed to the actual story itself. The actual story itself is important, but to me, it's the way a story is structured. It's the way it's put together that makes the most sense to me. So the actual idea for it, I can't even remember. I don't remember how I came up with the with this with the twins. I might have been some research I was doing into gender, into the types of, the belief, the idea that there isn't just male, female, or whatever, as some of the more postmodern ideas, which are not really that postmodern, to tell you the truth. This is, the animal kingdom tells us a lot of things about gender and sexuality, that we as human beings have kind of cut away from. We have to focus on certain things, that certain black and white, as it were, right? As opposed to all the things. And so that was part of the idea. And the other thing was that, as I say, the structure of this novel is a little unusual. It has footnotes in it. It has direct contact with the reader. It talks directly to the reader. The most weirdest thing of all is that it's written as if it has been written by an AI collective from the 22nd century. That's the thing. It's an AI collective writing about human drama, because the AI, which according to this, they have taken over the world at that point in the 22nd century. They have taken it over, and they feel that human beings can no longer tell their own stories. So this AI collective was given permission by the big node, as it were, the big AI the big AI node, that they yeah, write the story. We want to write a story that has a human drama at the center of it. Write a story that is about family, which is, and The other thing about what I try to do in my writing is that I write a lot of speculative fiction. I write a lot of metafiction, which this is in many ways. But at the same time, I always say every story, every story has to have at the center of it, it has to have a beating heart. It has to have something that will connect to readers. So that's those are the two things that I try to bring together in all my writing, and a little unusual in this one because I kind of bring a whole bunch of different things into it. But that's what I try to do. I try to find different ways to tell a story, but the story itself, I hope, is always has a human drama and at the center of it to as the where the conflicts are, the narrative arc, and all of that, the point of view, that to me is essential, and it's a way actually you build out from that to a structure, to an envelope around it, saying, and the envelope says, this is a story. This is not the outside world. You are building a world within the story. So
Oh,
that's
definitely. Yeah, no matter what the genre, it's about the characters and the
yeah.
people in it. Otherwise, well, you might as well get AI to write something then if there's
Yeah,
no heart.
yeah, yeah. No, exactly, exactly. Yeah,
Okay. Now, what was the most challenging aspect of writing this novel, and did anything surprise you when you were
it's
doing it?
that yeah. That been asked that question before, but the most challenging part was trying to deal with uh, the twins, and as I say, their unusual characteristics. Trying to deal with them and trying to make that as honest and believable as possible. That and I had to do I did a lot of research into that. So that I found fairly difficult. That was, the part that because I'm personally I always tell everybody, they ask me, well, how do you come up with these ideas? I mean, you must have a wild life and stuff like that. No, I have an extremely ordinary, mundane life. I mean, okay, I live on a farm, which is
Mhm.
that's my daughter's farm actually, but we have a family and that's what we do. There's nothing unusual about us, and especially about me. And nothing. So, these ideas, these things are creations that I have to research in many cases, and make sure that what comes out as some type of truth, some type of truth. I mean, I don't believe in the truth. I don't think there is one thing called the truth. We all have something inside us that can evolve as truth, I think. So yeah, so that's I thought that was the most challenging part of this, of coming with this. I've had experience with metafiction, as I say, and I've had experience with sorry, with types of science fiction, speculative
Mhm.
fiction. So that part I didn't find that difficult. I mean, creating the world, trying to say, okay, what's the world going to look like in 2055 or 2066, for example. So okay, so there's a couple of things that I did. One being that all traffic in my story is driverless. So everything on the road is a driverless, and packages are all delivered by drones, and that becomes an important part of the plot line itself, because something goes wrong with one of the drones, and it causes a traffic accident, which causes one of the main character, Elspeth, to get hurt. And so that part of the world comes into it. The other part is the other main character, Mary Beth, is an accountant, and she deals with this client who has has invented holographic cattle prods that he now is like, trying to get approved, but he's trying to get it approved for use on humans. So he's all upset that that this has changed the way they say, and he's yelling at Mary Beth because you've got to do something about this. They're not allowing me to change it from cattle prod to human prod. And so what happens is that he's in the office with her and he's got one of these prods and he's waving it around because he's all excited and everything. And he happens to touch her hand with touch her fingers with the end of the prod, and she and that and she dies.
Oh no. Okay. Don't give too much away because I want to listen to this because you're going to do a reading now. So give us
Okay,
a
well,
little
I
bit
won't
of
be reading. No,
context.
I've only got 10 minutes, so it's not. I'm
Yes.
only going to
Okay.
read a little bit.
Okay. So give us a bit of context before you start.
Well, this is the beginning. Well, it's not the exact beginning because, as I say, there's some false starts in the novel. And I actually asked the reader, okay, is this a good way to start? Is this not a good way to start? And then I finally get into the actual story, and this is the beginning of the actual story. So, if uh, if you want me to get it going, I can get this going now. Get
Sure.
the reading. Are we good?
Yep.
Okay, so this is section two, actually, because section one is the false starts. Section two, back to 2044 AD. So here come the foundlings. Surprise, shock, double surprise. And then it says, wherein, dear, still jaunty reader, you will uncover a sequence of events that could easily lead to a catastrophe if not handled with care. So here's the start. Of late, it being a form of springtime in both the fast crumbling city and its barely hanging on suburban outliers, the feral alley cats, rumored to be escapees from gone right GMO lab experiments with an interest in synthetic testosterone as a way to improve elite soldiers' kill ratios and billionaire sperm counts, and vice versa, have manifested particularly ardent, feisty attitudes, especially on the increasing number of muggy, sluggish, mogrified evenings when one looks out the window to find more than a hint of Prufrockian fog dancing around the base of overwrought street lights. Given them, the streetlights that is, the appearance of being the only real objects in the multiverse, as they invite harakiri attacks from pesticide-resistant mayflies who insist on being on the bright side when immolating themselves, most often perishing into the stomach cavities of super geckos before immolation can take place. So the wailing at her back door, which has become an almost nightly occurrence, comes as no surprise for Elle, short for Elspeth, a tall, pajama clad woman in her mid to late 30s with close cropped hair and a distinct lack of makeup on a pleasant, round, well nourished, as they say in murder mystery morgues, face, to the point where she has developed a ritual that consists of A, pushing with her butt against the spring loaded outward opening back door, B, stepping out while one foot keeps the door from slamming shut behind her, and C, quickly splashing a bucket of cold water into the night in the hope the shock will dampen, if only temporarily, the Tom's desire for either battle or sex. But as the bold typeface header would indicate, on this particular evening, Elle seems the one in for a shock when she flings the door open and prepares to douse the freestyle feline frolickers. So for the record, here's how Elle would have prepared her story in case of a possible investigation, criminal or simply bureaucratic, and also how she explains events to herself and to her partner, scheduled to make a grand entrance in the third section. I was expecting snarling cats, or maybe in the clamoring throes of lustful amour with one or two paramours, one of whom I'd come to identify as Sir Eglamour. What else could it be? Howling cats yesterday, howling cats today. Isn't that what inductive logic tells us? But there on our backyard deck, under the motion sensor detector, there was the real source of the wailing, which had in the meantime stopped. Infants, two of them side by side in a stroller. two infants tightly wrapped in blankets. They used to call them swaddling clothes, no, that were a combination of pink and blue. Like whoever had done the wrapping couldn't make up their mind. Two infants side by side in a mauve-colored, ultra-modern, altogether spiffy, triangular-wheeled, two-seater tandem stroller. I must admit to a double take, an exaggerated double take, followed by the removal of a hand from across my mouth and furtive glances to ensure no neighbor was surveilling. Sorry, I mean watching. Too much Elizabethan age research. Joking, of course, as the word was first used in 1884, long after the Elizabethan age. Anyway, I hesitated for a moment, trying to decide what next to do. But what could I do? What choice did I have? I wasn't going to leave them on the back deck in the damp and dark, possibly to be mauled by hungry and or horny cats, possibly to die a slow death from starvation. So I touched the stroller again to make sure it wasn't an hallucination, then wheeled it into the house. Back heel kicked the door shut behind me, and suddenly realized I hadn't been breathing the entire time, had been holding my breath as if it was going to be my last. So I took a deep one, in, out, and then I took several more. I didn't say, be still, my beating heart, but my Fitbit Ultra Versa B24.2i smartwatch, the one I got as a 10th anniversary gift from my ever loving and thoughtful partner, did tell me that the beat of my heart had jumped rapidly. Pulse rate at 118, sweetie. Time to relax. Take five. As you know, or maybe you don't, I've always been one to obey sensible requests, especially when they're voiced in the melodious and calming tone my partner uses when I'm harried or acting headless. So I pulled up a chair from the kitchen table and sat myself down before the stroller, but I still couldn't believe it. And so I almost immediately jumped up again and headed towards the bedroom so I could wake my sweetie and share the news, only to remember as I was about to open the bedroom door that my partner was out of town meeting one of the more difficult clients, a cattle prod manufacturer who insisted on face-to-face meetings despite sophisticated holographic possibilities for fear his competitors have compromised his electronics. And wasn't due to return until mid-morning. So I went back to the stroller, looked around, and then peeked in like I was having trouble believing what I saw, what was before me. I touched the stroller, shook it gently, and felt it rocking on its silent, heavy-duty springs. Definitely not a mirage. I looked in, two babies. I shook my head hard back and forth and eased myself once more into the chair, at the same time shuffling it closer to the stroller. Maybe for fear it might vanish if I didn't stay close, if I didn't keep my eye on it. And that's where I remained in a sleep-wake dream state, and admitting to a massive smile on my face, much resembling some Cheshire cat, for the rest of the night. And that's it. That's the story of how these two babies ended up in our house. It was like a dream wherein all my wishes came true, a dream that washed away all my disappointments and frustrations, one that I hoped and prayed, metaphorically speaking, of course, as my belief in higher beings extends only as far as generative artificial intelligence, would still be there in the morning, at which point I knew that, as much as I dreaded it, a decision had to be made, and the authorities would have to be informed. How's that? Is that 10 minutes or not? I can go on if you like.
Well, fine. We can wrap it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for sharing your book and your experience with us today.
Thank you for having me. It was quite enjoyable.
The Artsy Raven is produced by Dark Helix Press. Introduction voiceover by Chris Gorman. Music by Tim Moore. Please access your bonus content on the Patreon website. Thank you very much for listening, and please stay safe.